of us wear helmets while riding a two-wheeler or wear seat belts while driving a car. How many people lose their limbs or even their lives in road accidents? Do we really know the statistics? And if we know the statistics, do we know the reason behind these statistics? Today we have with us Dr. S. Rajasekaran, Chairman, Department of Orthopedics and Spine Surgery, Ganga Hospital. The hospital is synonymous with quality orthopedic care and attracts many people from all over India. It has many firsts to its credit and is a name to reckon with in joint replacement, spine surgery, arthroscopy, sports medicine, limb reconstruction, complex trauma, and pediatric orthopedics. If the hospital has such an impeccable reputation, Dr. Rajasekaran has a sterling record of his own. He has been recognized with several awards and has been the office bearer of many international bodies that is related to orthopedics and spine surgery. He is now the president of CSRS, Cervical Spine Research Society, and CCOT, International Society for Orthopedics and Trauma Surgery. Today, he is here to answer all our questions. Hello, Doctor.
Hello.
It's a pleasure to have you on Simplicity. When Ganga introduced the air ambulance, it was seen to be a very significant step. But now, with the recent Supreme Court ruling on road safety, which was based on a PIL filed by you, this seems to gain more significance and importance in the light of the number of accidents that are happening today. So we just want to know what made you take that step of filing that petition, because the SC ruling seems to have had a great significance which will have a bearing on not only Tamil Nadu but all the states and union territories.
Thank you. The issue is, ours is a large trauma unit. So we treat more than 15,000 patients with major accidents every year. And that's quite a large number. You'll be surprised that every year we lose about 185,000 people on the roads. That is actual deaths. This is government statistics, but many deaths which are happening in the rural areas and deaths which are happening a few months after the accident takes place are not recorded. So there may be actually more than 200,000 people who are dying on the roads every year. That amounts to almost one death every 3 minutes. That means by the time you introduced me, one person has already died. As I am talking to you, another person has already died. So on a daily basis, we are seeing what road traffic accidents can do to people, how it can shatter families, how it can burn out dreams, and how young people with a lot to follow in their life completely lose their limbs and become disabled for their entire life. But we on a day-to-day basis see what is the effect of this on the families. For a doctor who is treating the patient every day, it is not just a photograph on the front page or just a number that you read or see on the TV. We see what it means to lose a member of the family. So we are seeing the grief and tragedy of it every day. So that is why I thought that we should go to the court, because enforcement is a very important thing in road traffic accidents. And I thought that rather than going as an individual person, if we go with the national association. So in 2012, I was the president of the Indian Orthopedic Association, and then as one of the presidential themes, I took it as road safety, and then we approached the Supreme Court. I initially wanted to have the PIL against the Prime Minister because I thought he is the most powerful person and he should be. But that the lawyer said it's not possible, so we went on the Union Government of India. We argued that the Constitution gives us fundamental rights, and one of the fundamental rights is the right to live, and to live with the fullest ability without any disability. But road traffic accident is the biggest problem which takes away this ability for lakhs and lakhs of people for our country. So we argued that the government is not doing enough in its commitment for maintaining the fundamental right to its citizens. So when we made the PIL in the Supreme Court, the government advocate actually pleaded it is a part of the problem of the public. I mean, it is the responsibility of the public to be properly maintaining road safety. Where does the government commit to it? We don't have any issues on that. For that, we argued it on the other way, saying that the problem comes that 70% of the people are being overrun for no fault of theirs. Somebody is drunk, somebody is over speeding, somebody is not following the road rules, and they run over somebody who is normal. So we emphasized to the Supreme Court that 70% of the problem is because of victims not at fault. And I think that was one of the most impressive things that for the judges, and they accepted the PA. This went on for 18 months, and this was heard by the Court of the Chief Justice. The then Chief Justice, Mr. P. Sadasivam, was the person who heard it. And luckily, in the last few months, the government also came into our line. They agreed to bring road safety measures. And so, in November 2014, the judgment was passed, where the Supreme Court actually set up a panel, Supreme Court panel with 3 people, and one of them was a retired Supreme Court judge. And this panel actually gave 12 reports to the Supreme Court. But on the ground level, nothing much was moving. There was a lot of bureaucratic delays and other issues. And that is why now we were very happy that the Supreme Court has come up heavily on the states that they should take this up as a greater measure. This is the background of what made us go to the Supreme Court.
The Supreme Court has ruled it is given a deadline, January 18th, for all the states to come up with a safety.
The panel has already given many recommendations, and all of them are really very good. But many of the states are not compiling with it. And that is why the Supreme Court has said that they should give, for example, let's take a small thing. It has said at every district level, there should be a road safety council, and it should be an active council, and this council must periodically file what it is doing. This is very simple. If there is an area in the city where accidents are constantly happening, it just behoves upon all authorities to look into this matter, audit what's happening, and remedial measures can be taken. Now, this is such a simple thing to do, but these are all will be the responsibilities of the Safety Council.
That's why the deadline has
That's why the deadline has been given. And in the first week of February, another hearing has been made.
The
review will be there, and so I hope that if there is some lethargy from any of the states, the Supreme Court will take it up very seriously.
The ruling also says, Doctor, that even though it blames the bad roads, it says that a large portion of these accidents is attributable to lack of strict enforcement of these safety rules by people.
Exactly.
How true is that when you see the number of the kind of cases that come to you, kind of injury? From that, it will be clear as to whether it was a violation of a rule or if, like as you said.
See, road safety virtually means following road traffic rules. So this has 2 components: the public to follow road traffic rules, and the government to enforce that the road traffic rules are being followed. The importance of enforcement has been proved many times all over the world. So, for example, in Europe, in many countries, the accident rate was very high. Example, in Germany, when they removed the traffic speed limit on the highways, they call Autobahn, then the road traffic accident death went high. Then they brought a rule bringing down the traffic speed limit. Then automatically it was documented that the mortality comes down. Then they brought it a little more and the mortality reduced. Then they brought the seat belt rule and then the mortality again reduced. Then they brought no alcohol rule, then again it reduced. Then they reduced the alcohol permissible limit, then again the mortality reduced, and when they made it 0 alcohol, then it again reduced. So with every enforcement of a rule, it is very well documented. It actually transforms into more safety for the society. So there is no doubt at all.
Will that be exactly applicable to the Indian?
Everywhere in the world it should be applicable, but here there is a problem. Road safety is not in our blood in India. Maybe we are too religious and we think God will take care of us. So you will be surprised if there is a person who is injured on the road, head smashed, without helmet. Hundreds of two-wheelers are going who are looking at what has happened. And logic and common sense will tell you that they all will go straight to the shop and get a helmet. But nobody does, because they think this is something that is happening or will happen only to somebody else, not to us. I have a God at home who will take care of me. This is the problem. In fact, we had a police commissioner in Coimbatore, and in one of the meetings he said, elsewhere in the world, there is either a policeman or a traffic light. Only in India, you need a traffic light and a policeman who will make people stop when there is a red light. So there is a public apathy also for following the traffic rules. But that can be a part. But wherever is in the world where there is no enforcement, people around the world are all the same. It is not like in the West, people are more road safety conscious. They are more road safety conscious now because this has gone into their blood, because that is the way they have looked at the society. Now in our country, I see in the mornings every day, I come to the hospital by about 7 o'clock, 6:30 to 7 o'clock. So there are many auto rickshaws which are carrying the children to school at that time. There are many school buses going at that time. None of them stop at red light. So these children grow up with the idea that you don't need to stop in red light. There are many parents who are crossing red light with the children, taking them to school. Many mothers, many fathers in two-wheelers and four-wheelers who are going. So the child thinks this is the norm. So this is where enforcement needs to come. If we enforce road rules today, it will be good for the generation which is coming next. So one more thing that is very important to why we want enforcement is it is to empower people to say or tell somebody who is doing something wrong on the road to say, stop it because you are a risk to other people's life. Now if somebody is jumping a red light, we don't have a chance to tell him, hey, why are you doing this? But this we have seen it in smoking. 10 years before, if somebody was sitting next to you in the restaurant and puffing into your face, you could not tell him, stop it. He will say, it's my right, none of your business. But now nobody smokes, but even if he smokes, just one look and they feel compelled to stop smoking. So we want the same enforcement to come. It will take about 5 years for people to know that this is the way of life that we have to follow. And that is why we are asking for more enforcement.
So in addition to enforcement, provision of good roads is also a must.
Yeah, engineering. So road safety is 3 E's. So it's engineering, it is education also, isn't it? And enforcement. So I'll tell you a few examples. Safety on the roads is jeopardized by many different things. So two-wheeler is going with the family, and in India, every two-wheeler has got the entire family on it. Father, mother and 3 children are going, and there is a stray dog which starts chasing them. So the father loses the control and he goes and falls down, and one of the child has a major head injury. So who is to blame then? You fall down on the pit, there is rain, the water obscures the pit and a two-wheeler falls down and somebody loses the limb. There are many hoardings which block the view of the upcoming traffic when you are turning, and there is a major accident and you have a spine fracture and you become paraplegic. They are the head of the family, they are the earning member of the family and they support the family. In a second after the accident, there is a complete reversal of role over there. You become the most disabled person of your family. You become the most dependent person of the family. And not only that, you are the person who is draining the family resources to the maximum. Your wife cannot go to work because she has to look after you. Often children cannot go to school because one person is not enough to look after a paralyzed patient. So a paralyzed patient actually paralyzes the whole family. So engineering again is a responsibility of the government. And this is not something you have to invent freshly. I mean, what is a good road? What is meant by a safe road? How should roads be laid? And what are all the things that needs to be enforced for road safety? It is around the world, isn't it? I mean, this has been time tested. It is nothing that needs to be found new. It is only will on the part of the government to enforce that. Let me also say that it is not too costly. I don't think we should see about cost here. We should only look at cost effectiveness or what is the cost benefit ratio. Now, every year we are losing 7 lakh crores on the primary treatment of road traffic injuries. The government has said that it loses 3% of its GDP every year in just the primary treatment. But we are not considering what is the secondary effect of disability and all these other problems we are not taking into account. Because India has a lot of shameful statistics about which we cannot be proud about in this aspect. In the last few years, we have overcome China and overtaken it in being the country with the largest number of road traffic accidents. We also have the highest mortality rate per accidents and the rate of vehicles on the roads in anywhere in the world. Elsewhere in the world, it is the government's duty to give treatment to everybody who is injured. In India, 95% of road traffic accident victims are treated in private sector. And that is why the government is not burdened with the treatment costs of this malady. Now, if everybody says the government has to treat every single patient who is injured on the roads, then the government has a burden of 7 lakh crores and they will find it is much cheaper to lay the roads properly and to enforce properly, then it will become cheaper. It is this problem where the government does not have a responsibility in the treatment of accident victims is making a big problem. I think if this force is enforced, then the government will wake up to its responsibility.
From the cases you've been seeing, Doctor, over the years, which is the age group that falls into this maximum road accident category?
Yeah, this is another problem for road traffic accident. Irrespective of whether it is a developing country or a developed country, the number of deaths between the age group of 18 to 45, the maximum number of deaths across the world is due to road traffic accidents. Now, if you see 2 lakh people dying and 6 lakhs people becoming disabled every 2 years, we are losing people what the world lost in a world war. Let's compare it with other things like tsunami. We all think that tsunami is a big disaster, but you will be surprised to find that only 9,500 people died during tsunami. That means in Tamil Nadu alone, we are having many tsunamis on our roads every few months. And this is really a bit sad because this is the period which we call as the most productive period of life. And if you think of a person at the age of 40 years, anything that happens to this at this age group actually affects 3 generations. In the Indian system of society, I mean, when you're 45, you have usually aged and retired parents depend upon you. So you have your wife, which is the next generation. And then you have children who are the other generation. So when somebody between 45 and 50 dies, I mean, it is actually 3 generations who lose that big part of their livelihood and lots of things happen. So road traffic accidents have to be stopped. We all have to be very careful. So I think road safety must come from within. So we are now thinking of a very unique project, and this will be done with many service organizations in Coimbatore, like the Round Table, Rotary, everything. So this project will be called as Every School Child as a Policeman at Home. So we are trying to get into the heart and mind of elders through the children at home. So we are going to schools, making the children understand what is meant by road safety, how important it is to follow simple 4 or 5 rules. Wearing a helmet, wearing a seat belt, not overspeeding, not jumping traffic lights, and not speaking on the mobile or texting while you're driving. And the children will become perfect ambassadors of road safety at home. So if every people on the home change, then the society will change. You know, our evergreen president, I can say people's president, Abdul Kalam sir, actually declared India will be a superpower in 2020. And I wish it will happen. But the World Health Organization actually said a few years ago, the dream of India to be a superpower is actually evaporating on its roads. Because no country which generates so much of death and disability by itself can ever be a superpower. It's true, isn't it? There is a lot of buzz about cities becoming smarter and Coimbatore becoming a smart city and all that. So we all want Coimbatore to be a smart city, but there is no city which is smart which is not safe. So we now have to make the city safe first, and then it can become smart. I think the citizens of Coimbatore are a very special lot who are very caring for the society, and we thought Coimbatore should be one more feather in the cap of Coimbatore, that it will be the most safest city. It has the best safe roads because of the culture of the people, and that is what we are aiming for. So my concluding remark will be that we have to make Coimbatore city proud about us, and we have to be proud about Coimbatore. And one of the things that can make this happen is to have the safest roads possible in the whole country. I think it is possible with everybody's help. So let's hope that things will get better and some good will happen to the society. Yeah.